Yes.
Next on Up Close, his Laker jersey just went up on the wall with some of the greatest players ever. Where is James Worthy's place in NBA history? And what was it like to be the true finisher of Showtime? Up Close is up next.
From the ESPN studios in Los Angeles, here's Chris Myers.
Hi, how you doing? Hope you had a nice weekend. Thanks for joining us. We're live from the coast in a moment. James Worthy will be here to discuss, among other things, Magic and Michael and why Pat Riley never stayed on in Los Angeles. First, to check on some of the stories making news today, and head coach Terry Donahue is saying aloha to UCLA before his team plays in the Aloha Bowl. He's leaving to work as a broadcaster for CBS. Donahue, who had USC's number, is UCLA's and the Pac-10's all-time leader in coaching wins. He won 98 games in 20 seasons for the Bruins. In the NFL, the Rams have yet to rule out Chris Miller for Sunday's game against the Redskins, but they are admitting it's highly unlikely that he will play again this season due to his 5th concussion in 15 months. In baseball, Cecil Fielder says he doesn't want to rebuild in Detroit anymore. Cecil says he wants to be traded. Fielder has 2 years remaining on a contract that pays him $7 million a season. He hit 31 home runs last season. General manager Randy Smith, the new GM in Detroit, says he'll listen to trade offers. Bengals defensive lineman Dan Wilkinson, who left Sunday's game on a stretcher with a neck injury, was released from the hospital. Test today came up negative. In Dallas, the talk is negative around Barry Switzer. He may have a hard time getting out from under his decision in Sunday's loss to the Eagles. It may have cost the Cowboys more than just a win. Home field advantage may be gone, and with that, revenue that would have been created by an additional postseason game at Texas Stadium, not to mention the effects of a Super Bowl appearance. SportsCenter will have more on this story with player reaction. Also, they'll have more on NBA news. Miami's Alonzo Mourning suffered a partial tear of a tendon in his left foot during Saturday's game against Phoenix. He could be out for up to 3 weeks. Mark Price underwent surgery, I should say, for a similar injury. He is still trying to recover from that. And Shaquille O'Neal, who has been out 7 weeks with a broken right thumb, will be in uniform for road games on Tuesday and Wednesday for the Magic. But Friday is when head coach Brian Hill expects to have his center back in the lineup. Orlando has a 16-4 record without Shaq. We'll talk more NBA with former Laker great James Worthy when Up Close continues live from Los Angeles. Big game James, 7 times an All-Star. We'll chat with us in a moment.
Up Close is brought to you by Pentax. Life is fun. You've got the pictures to prove it. Pentax, available wherever fine cameras are sold. Life is fun. You've got the pictures to prove it. With the Pentax IQ Zoom 140.
There's one antiperspirant to use when you're extra, extra close. Arid Extra, Extra Dry. The one antiperspirant you can trust to give you Arid XX protection to help stop perspiration before it turns into embarrassing odor. And when you help stop perspiration and odor, who knows what you might start? So come on, go ahead. Use Arid Extra Extra Dry and get a little closer.
Walk into any Office Depot and 2 things are obvious.
Taking care of business.
First, Office Depot has a great selection of holiday gifts. And second, nobody beats our guaranteed low prices. Like cordless phones, brand name computers, fax machines, pen sets, and hot new electronics. This holiday, put Office Depot on your gift list and save up to 60% off list prices.
Taking care of business for the holidays.
This week on Know It All, we present part 14 of Transportation, mankind's greatest challenge.
Dad, please change the channel.
Introducing the latest evolution in transportation, the world's first car multimedia system with LCD television and an in-dash cellular phone, which you control through a Clarion Pro audio system. Car multimedia from Clarion. It will enable mankind to conquer even greater challenges.
Are we there yet?
like family vacations. Clarion, car audio and beyond.
Tuesday at Up Close, the 49ers on a roll to repeat. Tight end Brent Jones will be here to tell us why San Francisco has it all over Dallas. Wednesday, he's trying to pass the Vikings into the playoffs one more time. Viking quarterback Warren Moon joins us in the studio to talk NFL. Thursday, we'll talk Major League Baseball with Marlins slugger Gary Sheffield. When will he fulfill his full potential, or has he already reached it? Up next, more hoops with James Worthy. Who was the toughest player he ever had to defend, and who played him the toughest?
Slide on down to Gabowitz TV and Appliance. You'll find the lowest prices of the season. As a member of ADC, you're assured of best value, great selection, and service you can count on. JVC, the inventor of VHS, the logical choice for your electronic needs. JVC, technically perfect, perfectly simple.
You can count on Gabowitz TV and Appliance. You can count.
Overlooking a detail can ruin any good plan.
What are we going to do now?
Relax. I'm sure there's another gas station down the road.
Sometimes it's just an inconvenience. But when you're planning for your retirement, details become vital. Princeton Securities can help you prepare for a better tomorrow. By calling for your personal retirement planner, we can help you develop an individualized strategy so you can minimize disappointments in the future.
So, honey, what else haven't we planned for?
Hometown teams, local heroes, pride of the community. Should teams stay put, or do owners have the right to go where the money is? It's an all-new Outside the Lines, live from Cleveland. Teams on the move. Friday at 9 Eastern on ESPN.
Later on SportsCenter, after a controversial loss, are the Cowboys in search of answers or scapegoats? Can Dan Marino keep playoff hope alive in Miami? And will the Marlins make Cecil the catch of the day? Join us for SportsCenter at 6:30 Eastern.
'Twas the week after Christmas when all through the house now the TV was silent, no sign of a spouse. Thrifty car rental bowl week had begun. There were whistles to blow, yellow flags to be flung. Now lions, now falcons, now tigers and rams. On pirates, on wildcats, red raiders and cabs. For the best college bowl games, it's easy, my friend. The week after Christmas on ESPN. Thrifty car rental bowl week. Coverage begins December 27th on ESPN.
We're back live in Los Angeles in a moment. James Worthy will be here live to talk about his jersey being retired, number 42, Sunday night at the Great Western Forum. 7 times an All-Star, 3 NBA championships. James Worthy, a part of Showtime, and he'll talk to us about what it was like to play for Pat Riley and with a guy like Magic Johnson. But as is the case, when you live out on the West Coast, he's caught in freeway traffic, so he's slowed up just a little bit. So while we have a few moments, let's reflect on what's happened in the NFL so far this season. And we thought we knew early on that the Dallas Cowboys were the clear-cut team to go on to the Super Bowl, but that was before the health problems with Charles Haley, the off-the-field problems with Leon Lett, and of course the signing of Deion Sanders, and then injuries along the way, which other teams deal with as well. But the loss in Philadelphia on Sunday is a difficult one for all Cowboy fans to take. The most important Cowboy fan is the owner, Jerry Jones, who said that anything less than the Super Bowl is simply unacceptable. Now, the decision that Barry Switzer made when it was 4th down from his own 29, just over 2 minutes to go in a tie game at Philadelphia, was a tough decision for a coach to make who was in a desperate situation. But he was not in a desperate situation. The Cowboys were not in that desperate a situation. Sure, they have the best offensive line in football, and Emmitt Smith probably the best runner. You can argue that with Barry Sanders. But giving the ball to Emmitt Smith in that situation isn't like giving it to him if you're trailing and need a touchdown to win. All Dallas had to do was kick the ball away, hold them, and then possibly get another shot to win. Barry Switzer, as a coach, really put his team, still maybe the best team in football, in a very, very difficult situation. And a coach shouldn't be judged on one decision, but there have been other decisions this season that have Barry Switzer under fire. There was botching the timeout in the first Washington game, actually losing 2 games to the Washington Redskins, something that the Dallas Cowboys fans aren't accustomed to. Now, that having been said, the pressure is on for Dallas to come back and challenge the 49ers. They may have to face San Francisco at San Francisco on their way back to the Super Bowl. Both teams with identical records, but right now San Francisco holding the edge because of their earlier meeting. Another decision that was a decision questioned about Barry Switzer, the way that he covered wide receiver Jerry Rice or chose to play his defense against him in that game when Elvis Gerbach and the 49ers embarrassed the Cowboys in Dallas. Another thought on the NFL is the Most Valuable Player Award, and so with the Cowboy performance, Emmitt Smith will take a hit in this area. Many thought Brett Favre was the leading man in that area until Sunday night's performance against the Tampa Bay Bucks. As Brett Favre goes, so go the Green Bay Packers. That's something that Brett Favre has said openly, and we saw an example of that when Green Bay lost in overtime, losing a chance at getting in on the home field advantage hunt. The Packers, the 49ers, the Cowboys, those three will decide the NFC Championship, but with Barry Switzer and Dallas, they may have taken a step backwards. They might not even be the second best team in the NFC right now. We'll talk hoops with James Worthy in a moment. Don't go away.
Music Express, voted #1 by the National Limousine Association, has offices in Los Angeles and on the East Coast. Music Express can handle your corporate needs anywhere in the U.S. and worldwide. And guests of Up Close stay at the Beverly Prescott, L.A.'s premier boutique hotel. Call your travel agent to make reservations at the Beverly Prescott, a Kimpton hotel.
Silver bells. Silver bells. Silver bells.
Look what's popping up at Burger King. Toy Story puppets from Disney's latest adventure movie, now in theaters. Get all 4 high-quality puppets for your kids. $1.99 each with any great-tasting value meal.
Hear them sing. Soon it will be Christmas Day.
They don't play kick the can like you used to. They don't dress the same way. So why are you taking pictures of them with the same old film? Try new Fuji Color Super G Plus film. Because your pictures should be nostalgic. Your film shouldn't. Now, Fujifilm has a new way of buying Batman Forever. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Save $5 on Batman Forever on video with a mail-in rebate when you buy 3 rolls or a 3-pack of Fujifilm or a Quick Snap Plus camera.
'Twas the week after Christmas when all through the house now the TV was silent, no sign of a spouse. Thrifty car rental bowl week had begun. There were whistles to blow, yellow flags to be flung.
Now lions, now falcons, now tigers and rams. On pirates, on wildcats, red raiders and cabs. For the best college bowl games, it's easy, my friend. The week after Christmas on ESPN. Thrifty car rental bowl week. Coverage begins December 27th on ESPN.
Most nights we get our highlights, satellite dishes, but not always.
He's here.
Make a hole, people. Come on.
Here's the highlight. Better want to check out the third quarter.
You sure you can't stay?
I gotta get back. I have an early practice tomorrow.
Welcome back to the program, and we welcome in James Worthy, former Laker great, 12 years in the NBA, and boy, am I glad to see you. I was worried you weren't going to make it.
Well, you know, L.A., sometimes the traffic can be unpredictable.
You're a busy guy after Sunday night's ceremony in which your number was retired at the Forum. What thoughts raced through your mind first when you saw that being lifted up in the rafters?
Well, it's a very special moment to be on the same wall with the legends before me, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, Elgin Baylor, particularly those guys who made sacrifices and made it possible for young guys like myself and guys who are enjoying the success of the league thus far.
Did you ever view yourself as a guy to go up right there along with Magic and Chamberlain and Jabbar?
I never really thought of it in a million years because those guys have done so much for the league, and to be recognized with them, it's just an honor I never thought about.
What's the greatest moment in James Worthy's basketball career?
I would have to say being drafted, most of all, because I finally made it. It was a dream come true, and beating the Celtics in 1985 after all the defeats that the Lakers suffered in the 60s and the 70s, and then back-to-back in 1988 when I was MVP of the series.
In your comments at the halftime of the ceremony, you talked about the coin flip in which you could have gone to the Clippers or the Lakers in the '82 draft, and you fell to your knees saying, you know, thank God it was the Lakers. Things really would have been different for you.
At the time I came out of college, I was not concerned about where I was going to play, but having been in the league a couple of years and understanding the infrastructure of teams and organizations, I realized that I was blessed to be with the Lakers.
You said that you've had few regrets about your career, but you always viewed it as a job, and I found that interesting. Explain that.
Well, I think all the things that you experience, good or bad, I think they have a tendency to make you a better person if you complete it and don't internalize a lot. And I think I took my job because it was fun, and I never tried to make it anything other than that. I knew it was competitive, and I knew it was a business side of it, so I tried to make it fun within the occupation itself.
Yeah, because often players will say, when it stops being fun, I'll leave the game, or even coaches will say that. When even Joe Montana said, when it becomes too much of a job, I'll leave the game. But you always viewed it that way, and were still able to have fun?
Well, I think I had fun up until that point, and I got to the point where practice wasn't fun anymore, and I didn't want to get up and go to the grind, and that's when you really have to take a look at yourself.
Yeah, what told you that it was time to retire?
Well, exactly that. I had passed a lot of players before me, had left the game, and there was a new mentality coming into the game. Obviously, my body started to not to be able to recover as fast, and the minutes decreased, and mentally, I just didn't have the desire to get up and go to practice and have fun with the game anymore.
What was the new mentality coming into the game?
Well, I think it was less cohesiveness. I think it was less of a family-oriented type atmosphere that I was accustomed to, and I think a lot of teams that were in the 80s, and maybe when Commissioner Stern came in and really promoted the league well, I think it was more family-oriented. Guys really were not in so much to their individuals or the salaries, and the salaries just shot up. And I think you have a lot of influence from outside of the players, the agents and everyone. So I think it's changed a little bit.
Was it difficult for you, having been the champion on championship team 3 times, to be around when the Lakers, instead of the sellout crowds, and I Love LA playing loudly with them, cheering, their crowds weren't there, they missed the playoffs for the first time in ages. Was that difficult for you to accept?
Well, I have to admit, I was a little spoiled, having spent the 80s with a team that had a lot of success, but I was also willing to take the challenge, because I'm also accustomed, not to being the underdog so much, but accepting a challenge. And I thought there was so much parity in the league, and I really thought we had an opportunity to win just with what we had. And that was my frustration, that I couldn't recall on the things that I learned in the 80s for the younger players to understand.
You talk about 80s, you talk about Showtime, and one of the great terms. What's your definition of Showtime?
Well, Showtime was a lot of things. I think a lot of times people looked at the game itself and how we played it. It was fast break. It was a high five, a lot of intensity. We kind of deviated from the norm, but Showtime was also Los Angeles. It was movie stars sitting on the sidelines. It was the song "We Love LA." It was the weather. It was everything. It was the industry that this city promotes, and it was Hollywood.
You were the last link to Showtime. Did you feel a sense of responsibility hanging on to that and leaving the game?
I tried to. A lot of people refer to me as the last Mohican, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I did, because I felt like I had to leave the legacy of the guys that came before me, the McAdoos, the Kareems, and all those guys, Jamal Wilkes. I was trying to relay to some of these younger guys what it really took to win and how we did it, and this was the formula. So there was some responsibility there.
Were the younger guys taking to that, or not as well as you would have liked?
Not as a whole, and I think that was a thing that bothered me the most, because when I came in, I was all ears. I was slow to speak and eager to listen.
Even though you were the #1 pick overall.
Even though I was the #1 pick, it really didn't matter, because I respected the guys that were on the team and what they had already done as an organization.
You mentioned Showtime in Hollywood, a dozen years in LA, and you really never went Hollywood. Why not?
I don't know. I guess it was my personality, and I think that's something that I wanted to keep. I didn't really want to conform too much, and I really wasn't interested in anything but playing. There are a lot of opportunities playing in a major city,
right.
And I've done some cameo appearances, but it just really takes a lot of energy.
But even in the personality, right? You never went Hollywood, the term.
Not really. I just wanted to be myself, and And you know, sometimes in an industry, it requires that you network and that you be what the industry demands. And I never just wanted to do that.
How did you not get caught up in it all? Were there ways that you guarded against it?
Well, I didn't really guard against it. I just tried to recognize where I am as a person, and you know, I tried to recognize what I wanted out of life, and you know, where I wanted to be, and it was just a matter of realizing, you know, the arena that I was playing in.
We assumed that in those days, Magic, Kareem, that there was a closeness. We saw the closeness on the court. What were the relationships like away from the floor?
Well, I think they were unique. I think as a team, we had to have cohesiveness, and we had to be a family. But off the court, I think we were, you know, smart enough and mature enough to say, hey, we're different. We're different personalities. We're different people. We have different hobbies. We have different objectives and everything. And I think we were able to have meaningful friendships when we understood that, and we didn't have to try to be friends, or we didn't have to, you know, force ourselves to be what was portrayed for us. We just, you know, simply just were ourselves.
Yeah, with Magic and a guy like Kareem, you maybe didn't get as much of the spotlight as you would have gotten if you were somewhere else. You were happy with that. Did you bet your career benefit from that?
Absolutely, and you know, fortunately, I played for a great college coach who taught me that before I reached this level, and you know, everyone was treated fairly and holistically. When you win, all the individuals get the praise, and for me, I've been able to get some championships and some bonuses, and I think if I had gone to another team, obviously the stats would have been up, but this was much better for me.
Dean Smith was in attendance for your ceremony on Sunday night and had to take the red eye to go back to Carolina for practice. That says something about a guy who
he's a very special man, and he would do it for any of his players, but I remember when I broke my leg my freshman year, and I woke up at an operation, there he was. I don't know where they were as far as they were playing, but he really developed special relationships with his men that play for him, and he sustains it forever.
Do you think you don't get enough credit in general basketball discussions about the great players of the game because Magic and Kareem and those other guys were there, even though we know about your great postseason numbers, 21 points a game, and thus the nickname Big Game James?
I think so. I'm comfortable knowing that my peers and other organizations, general managers, there are some writers and people who really have followed the game and understand the game. I'm comfortable knowing that those experts and people who followed it are comfortable with my contribution. A lot of times people on the outside don't understand everything that goes on within. But I've been comfortable with my contribution and what people think of me as a player.
We're talking with James Worthy, 12-year veteran, had his jersey retired with the Los Angeles Lakers, number 42. We come back, we'll talk about what it was like to play with Magic Johnson, to be on the other end of some of those assists, to be the great finisher that he was, and also Pat Riley, why his act ran short in L.A. More in a moment.
Re-engineering results in a paradigm shift in the corporate matrix, thus facilitating
experiencing system overload? We're going to crash. Better click on Office Max. The office product superstore, electronics, computers, software, with great brand names like Brother or Mobilecom. At guaranteed low prices that will re-engineer your budget. You can even shop online. Get the latest business technology without even shifting your paradigm. Whatever that means. Office Max. We go to the max for you.
Continental Airlines, now among the best in the business at getting you to your destination on time.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking live with James Worthy, the former Laker great who just had number 42 retired Sunday night at the Forum. Pat Riley, and you referred to him when you thanked all the people along the way. Took the Knicks to the final recently, 3 titles for the Lakers. Ran off from New York. He's doing well with the Miami Heat, but why does it seem like he or his act burns out after a certain amount of time in one place?
Well, I'm not sure if it burns out, or I'm not sure if there's enough people that can accept his style, and I guess that is a burnout. But I think he's when he was in Los Angeles, he's very successful, and he had a formula that worked for many years. And quite frankly, I think it was just time for him to move on. It was just it became not necessarily a grind, but it just came where he's very demanding, and I'm not sure that everyone agreed with it. And I think it's time to move on at that point.
Yeah, he stepped in. Did he change at all over the 9 years that he was coaching?
Yeah, he changed. He got more and more demanding, and we worked, very hard, extremely hard. And Raul has a vision, and he has imagery, and I think sometimes he has a tendency to make it upon himself, that he's got to do it. And I think a lot of times it creates problems with the whole picture, and that's not necessarily wrong. It's just it's an observation you have to make, and sometimes you have to make decisions. And I think his was to move on.
But obviously, he couldn't have stayed in L.A., is what you're saying, and been successful. It would have been detrimental to the team.
No, I'm not saying that at all, because for me, I enjoy being, having constructive criticism, but I didn't necessarily think it would mean that he wouldn't be successful. I just think it was time that he had peaked, and the question was, could it work anymore?
And now it's worked to some degree somewhere else. What was it like having Magic come in and coach for a short time?
That was weird for me. I never could relate to him as a coach. But,
why not?
Well, I guess for all the years that I played with him, and as a teammate, and spent time with him on the buses, and just knowing him. He was like that when he was a player. And he was a coach on the floor. So for me, it really wasn't like he was a coach, but for some of the younger players, I think it was an incentive to hear what he had to say.
Why don't you think he stayed at coaching or would be a successful coach?
I just think the temperament for Irvin, he demands the same efficiency as himself, and he's really hard on the players. And I think, it takes a person that can get along with the individual as an individual, but at the same time, nurture the person and understand their personalities and know when to push them and know when to lay off, but at the same time get the good result. And I just think he was all over the place with personality.
But as a player, a great leader. And I'm wondering, is there a story that comes to mind about it might typify his leadership on the floor, or the way he was in control in a game through those years with the Lakers? Because the team seemed to just respond to him under any circumstance.
Well, for me, my first experience, I think, came in the '85 Celtics series, and I never seen a player wave a coach off. And that's when I knew that he was more than just a point guard, because he really understood the game, and he could see on the floor maybe what a coach couldn't see. And he started to wave Raul's plays off in '85 and '86, and that's something that I've never seen before. And when I understood what he was doing on the floor and how he knew how players were on or off, and the ratio of plays to call, and when to get involved in the offense and when not, it was a special talent to have.
Yeah, when you talk about the greatest players of all time, the Magic and Michael Jordan, who of course you played with in college, and we all remember that championship with Georgetown in '82 in New Orleans. But between those two, can you compare the kinds of players they are, since you were fortunate to have been with both for a certain stretch of their careers?
They both benefit their teams about the same. But Irvin, I think, takes his team to another level, because he's not a player that's going to get 40 and 50 points a game, and he's not a player. He has the capacity to, but he's not that type of player. But he knows when other players are out of the game, and he knows how to bring the rest of the team up. Now, Michael does that as well when he gets assists and when he gets other people involved. But Magic, day in and day out, he knows how to get a player to his level, knows when to look for certain players, and just has a little bit more savvy on the court as far as the feel of the game and how it's going and the flow of the game. And I think that's a very special asset to have.
Did you have any idea that Michael Jordan in the pros would be the kind of player that he has become?
I would have never thought he would. I mean, I can remember in practice in college, and we played one-on-one after practice, and I see things that I couldn't believe then. And I knew it was going to be an all-star. I knew he would be an all-star and one of the top 10 players in the league. But by no means did I think that he would come in and be everything that he is off the court, on the court, and dominating, both of those areas, really.
So if you had to win a championship and had to choose between one of those guys to be there, it would be Magic?
I'd go with Irvin.
At least he'll get you the ball more, right?
I'd go with Irvin. I mean, because I just, he and Bird, they just elevate teams differently. And Michael does the same thing. They had a unique talent in Chicago, and they had a unique team. But I just think Bird and Irvin, from what they did and when they did it, the time that they did it, it just makes it special.
We got about 20 seconds. Toughest player you ever had to defend, and then the toughest player who ever defended you.
Well, there's two players that defended me. McHale because of his size, and Rodman because of his quick feet when he was a Piston. But Bird, those were sleepless nights. You didn't sleep very much when you had to guard Bird because no talent, no physical talent, but just he would outthink you. He was just an expert on fundamentals, and he was the toughest I ever had to guard.
All right, well, thanks for stopping by. Good luck with the broadcasting career. We'll have you back again. And congratulations on having the jersey retired. James Worthy, former Laker great. We appreciate him being with us live from Los Angeles. 49er tight end Brent Jones will be with us on Tuesday. We hope to see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.